Welcome, and thank you for joining Oil and Gas 360. We're here at EnerCom's London Oil and Gas Conference with Chairman and CEO of Magnum Hunter Resources, Gary Evans. Thanks for joining us, Gary.
Thanks, Brian.
So 2010 was a busy year for Magnum Hunter. You successfully expanded your leasehold in some of the hottest plays in North America. Where does your operational focus lie for 2011?
Really, the three plays that we're active in today, being the Eagle Ford of South Texas, the Marcellus and Huron of Appalachia, which includes West Virginia, Kentucky, and Ohio, and then the Bakken and Sanish up in North Dakota and Saskatchewan. We've actually designed the company to be active in all three plays. So if you look at our capital budget for 2011, it's basically split a third in those three plays. So that's what makes us a bit unique, is that we have those three resource plays we're drilling today.
Great. And so will you be drilling for both oil and gas, or will there be
Yes.
a weighting one way or another? Or?
The Eagle Ford, we're in the oil window, so it's 95% oil, a little bit of gas. The Bakken, same way, it's almost all oil. The Marcellus in Huron, Marcellus is a liquids-rich gas as well as the Huron. Marcellus being like 1350, 1400 BTU, Huron about 1200 BTU. So we've got basically 2/3 of our drilling budget earmarked strictly for oil. The other third, gas, was a liquids-rich gas area.
Great. And so you recently closed on your gas acquisition up in the Marcellus, as well as the Newlock acquisition up in the Bakken, as you mentioned. So what are your near-term growth plans between those two assets?
Well, we've really, now that we've got the pieces of the puzzle put together and we have the acreage positions we currently enjoy today in all three of these resource plays, our goal is really just to keep drilling in those areas. Now, you'll continue to see bolt-on transactions, $20 million, $50 million acquisitions of leases or wells within those regions. But we have no intention to leave those three areas because they generate the highest rates of return of any of the other basins in the U.S.
And just addressing infrastructure, in terms of the Marcellus, namely your Eureka Hunter project, how is that progressing?
The Marcellus is the only area where we're actually active in the midstream business because really of necessity. This part of West Virginia where we're actively drilling in the Marcellus, there's no infrastructure other than low pressure systems, and these Marcellus wells come in 5 to 7 million a day and have to have a higher pressure system. So we've been building the Eureka Hunter pipeline since last year when we bought Triad out of bankruptcy, and we're actively selling gas into the system. It can move 200 to 300 million a day. We also are constructing a cryogenic processing plant that can also process 200 million a day. So our goal with these midstream assets is within the next 12 months, we've already established them in a separate subsidiary called Eureka Hunter. It has its own credit line that we're closing, and we're going to spin that off to our shareholders in an MLP. So it'll be a dividend. If you're a common shareholder of Magnum Hunter, you'll get a dividend sometime, hopefully over the next year, that'll allow us to spin that off, and it'll be its own separate entity.
Any infrastructure concerns or anything you're looking at in terms of the Bakken or the Eagle Ford as well?
No, fortunately, those two areas, the Eagle Ford and Bakken, are all oil, so our oil's being trucked. We've had no issues with wells being shut in. Both those areas, though, we do have casing head natural gas, and we've been flaring that gas ever since we started drilling. Just in the Eagle Ford over the past week, we've actually begun tying in that gas to a new system that Energy Transfer laid to our area. So that gas will all be sold. Up in the Bakken, the same thing's getting ready to happen. We have over 200 wells that we're flaring gas on, and a new system is being laid, and that will be probably finished by the end of the year.
You're having some great results in the Eagle Ford. Your first horizontals have been, I think you have a production target at near 10,000 to exit 2011. Is that correct? So how does the Eagle Ford play into that?
Eagle Ford's a big part of that. I mean, today we're currently producing in the Eagle Ford about 1,100 barrels a day. We're getting ready to go to two rigs. I think our goal in year end is north of 2,000 barrels a day. I think that's very achievable with the kind of wells we're drilling. These wells typically are coming in 800 to 1,500 barrels a day apiece. We're continuing to drill longer laterals. The well we're drilling today is called the Oryx Hunter, and we're trying to get out to 6,000 feet horizontally, and it'll be over 20 frac stages, and we'll frac that well before the end of the month. So longer laterals, more frac stages typically will generate a higher rates of return with respect to IPs and ultimate recovery. Our recoveries in the Eagle Ford are averaging about 400,000 to 500,000 barrels a well. we think that number is going to go to 750 to 1 million barrels a well over the next couple of years.
Wow, that's great. Well, Gary, I really appreciate you taking the time and talking with us today.
Thank you very much.